It's Clout with Richard Greene.
Heather Mills is our Meatless Monday guest here in studio in New York City. She is a font of information that is purposely, at least in my way of thinking, designed to gross you out, but also scare you. So besides the grossness of milk and cow products, tell us about IGF growth hormone.
Well, IGF growth factor hormone is something that's innate in a cow. So whether it's organic, grass-fed, grain-fed, it is something that ups your level of predisposed genetic illness. So if you have a level of breast cancer, prostate cancer, usually it's a 5% predisposed genetic illness. Usually you'll die of old age on a healthy diet before you would ever get that illness. So it ups it by 65%. And if you look, there's a brilliant book that Professor Colin Campbell wrote called The China Study. And he's a very good friend of mine. And
of course, the China study.
Yeah,
this is
brilliant.
The study.
Well, that's where Rory got all her information from and cleverly put it into
Rory
Skinny
Friedman,
Bitch, yeah,
right.
who I love. She's
fantastic.
She's
yes,
just gorgeous. And she took all her information from then and then put it in layman's terms, which is exactly what was needed because it's a heavy book, and you'll fall asleep after 4 pages because it's so in depth. But if you do have the time to really, once you've read Skinny Bitch, then read that afterwards, and you'll get more in-depth detail on it. But an IGF growth factor hormone ups your potential predisposed illness by 65%. So you will get that illness. It's why more kids are getting type 1 onset diabetes. I counsel hundreds of children who lose limbs. And what it is you can reverse type 2 diabetes in 2 months on a vegan diet. It's an absolute fact. Go on to Dr. Joel Fuhrman's website if you want to really reverse your type 2 diabetes. It will happen on a vegan diet.
Okay. So, you realize what a strong claim that is.
That is a very strong claim, and it's an absolute fact.
Hold on, we're talking to Heather Mills.
Yeah.
Who, and obviously the issue is, how do you know? You're not a doctor. We'll talk.
I've studied
we'll talk
for a long, long time.
Okay. And I think doctors don't know hardly anything about this stuff.
7% of their time as doctors study in nutrition.
Right. And a lot of the stuff that they learn is from pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
Who are not interested in having them learn the healing power of food.
But to back up what I'm saying, Professor Colin Campbell, who is the main guy at Cornell University, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, go on his website. He's written a whole book on how to reverse type 2 diabetes. And the reason I studied it was because I counsel a lot of men, women and children who lose limbs for diabetes and accidents and everything. And what I find is if you can reverse the type 2 before it can eventually become type 1 and insulin dependent for a large majority of people. Even once you become type 1, if you live on a vegan diet and a very healthy diet, you can minimize your amount of insulin. Now, a lot of type 1 insulin-dependent people end up losing limbs, and they can prevent that from happening because it breaks down the organs, it creates blood problems, and you can basically really, really slow it down and minimize your insulin, so it makes... Now, it's life-saving.
Is this related to the IGF growth factor hormone? I don't completely understand how that works.
It is, because the IGF growth factor hormone puts everything up on a cellular level. If you imagine, again, that we keep growing for years and years and years on end, whereas a cow doesn't. We grow at a very slow rate. Right. And when you have high amounts of IGF growth factor hormone, you increase that.
And it exacerbates whatever's there that's out of balance.
Yeah,
and it just
unless you're very, very lucky, like you get a small percentage of people that can drink whiskey till they're 102 and smoke a million cigarettes.
This is fascinating stuff. And my first experience when I spoke to you was how incredibly deep your knowledge and your intelligence is around this fabulous. We'll be back with Heather Mills.